So before starting the HANA ABAP introduction, we need to understand about the basics of HANA. Why HANA had to come in picture and what exactly is the history of HANA is what we need to understand first. So for that, let us start from the basics. HANA ABAP. So before getting into the HANA ABAP, first of all, we need to understand what exactly is HANA. HANA stands for High Performance Analytical Tool. High Performance Analytical Tool. It's not just a database, it's not just a concept, it's a complete platform. So HANA means a lot of things in lot of ways. Okay, just like now you have a concept like for example, like Google is there. Google was once upon a time just a search engine. It was a company who was focusing only on the search engine. Today they are into too many things. Okay, so they are into car manufacturing as well, whereas they're manufacturing automated auto driven cars, and they're also into some space research developments and all. They're also into the health care as well. So too many things. So now HANA also is a concept which was started by SAP for a particular reason, and then it was moved into too many things. Let's see what are the things that we have. So first of all, let me come from the back, from the history. If you take SAP HANA, okay, SAP real-time system was introduced in 1972 guys, 1972. Then they started this real-time R2, real-time two-tier software, R2 in 1980s. Then in R3 in 1990s, 1990s, and then they started this ECC, ERP Central Component. ECC stands for ERP Central Component. So this was started in 2004. So around 2000, okay, early 2000s. Then all these are softwares. So what we need to have, we need to have the hardware. Okay, upon the hardware we need to have a database. Upon the database we are going to have that software. So what SAP used to do, SAP used to sell only this software. The hardware and database was purchased by the client from wherever they require. Okay, wherever they need, they used to purchase it from different vendors. And now SAP also introduced its own database as well. Okay, so SAP also introduced its own database, but SAP's database was not that significant in the market, because everybody preferred Oracle and SQL databases, because Oracle and SQL databases are very popular databases guys, extremely popular in the world. They are number one and number two in the world for this uh, databases and all. So what exactly is database is what we need to understand. Okay, so hardware is something like a space in which you are going to fix up the database. Okay, I have also, I think in the past, once I'll give an example. Once again I'll give you an example here. Let's say any one of you who want to help the society. Yeah, anybody can who takes their name and want to help the society. Can anybody give their name? Yes, somebody's talking. Guys, who want to help the society?
Everyone, sir.
Manjunatha has spoken up. Okay, so I'll go for Manjunatha. Now Manjunatha, got into SAP and he became a very very successful person, just like Sundar Pichai. And after Sundar Pichai, it's Manjunatha. So Manjunatha wants to do something for his village. Okay, so for village, what he wants to do is he wants to create a library, not with the computers and all. He wants to, open a library with only books. Okay, only books. He wants everyone to read books, and he wants to also put competitions. And if somebody reads some book and completes one exam, he wants to give some scholarship to them. So these things he want to do. So a library, he started a library. So for library, he rented a big hall. Okay, Manjunatha rented a big hall in his native village. Okay, very remote village where we don't, let's assume that we don't have any facilities, but he wants to build a very big library, biggest library in his district, entire district. Okay, so he rented a big hall, extremely big hall, and he wants to, he also purchased the books. Now the question is, how do we place these books in the hall? So you cannot throw them into a mountain of books, and then you can say, you can't say everyone that, you search whatever book you want, you search and take it. No, it cannot happen like that. We need to first purchase racks. Manjunatha has to first purchase the racks. In racks they need to arrange the books. So if somebody, if when he inquires, he understands that some XYZ company is the best for racks, for library. Okay, so XYZ company is best for library racks. So why it is best? Because the way you can arrange, anybody, see, how do we actually decide the racks is, anybody who wants to get any book has to get it the easiest way possible. Okay, so if you have that kind of a mechanism in the racks in such a way that the books should be safe, they should be protected well, and people, you can find out the book easily. It should not be torn, and it should be safe in all possible ways. So you select the racks in that way. Similarly, the books, in our software terms, if we go back, so the hardware, or the database, I mean, like the memory. Okay, so memory space that we have, the ROM, not RAM, ROM is the hard disk. You can say hard disk. Hard disk is the best word that we can understand. So hard disk is just like the rented big hall, guys. Okay, and in that, these books are there, na? The books are the data information, all the data. We have the tables, na? We have the tables data. But where do we have this? We have to place it somewhere in the racks. That racks is nothing but database here. Okay, so the tracks, and now who will purchase which tracks depends upon the best way the racks can manage the books. So similarly, the best database will be the one which manages the data inside it the best way possible. So in that, Oracle and SQL are rated number one and number two. So that's the reason everybody will go for that. Even though SAP has its own database, most of the companies don't go for it, didn't go for it. Okay, in the past. Now what happens, we need to understand this very very clearly, guys, because this is very very important for us, extremely important. Okay, so extremely important concept for us, because most of the projects that you're going to work upon will be based on this HANA based technologies. Then what SAP did is, we need to get into all these things. And means, like, see, 70% of the market revenue is being taken away by these vendors. Means hardware and database vendors used to enjoy the 70% of the revenue by the company used to spend 70% of their revenue on hardware and database, and just 30% on the software license. Now they wanted to get into this, but they cannot say to everyone that, you come and buy only our database, only then we'll sell the software. Means there might be a chance that they will lose the customers. So what SAP did is, first of all, they wanted to build the fastest database in the world. Fastest database in the world. So it's like, they thought of certain elements which were, like, superficial at the time. So if let's say Manjunatha thinks that he wants to in the library, anybody spells, okay, he says I want the Guinness Book of World Record book, then the book should present in front of him. Okay, the book should come and present in front of him. That kind of a mechanism you want to build, it will look unrealistic at this point of time. So when SAP was building the database, they imagined certain things which were unrealistic at that particular time. So they have made it real. Okay, and they introduced their own database called HANA database. SAP introduced their own database called HANA database. Now this was introduced in way back in 2012. Okay, so way back in 2012, SAP introduced this uh, SAP HANA database. Okay, they introduced SAP HANA database. Then what they did is, this HANA database, let's imagine one scenario. Let's say we have SAP ECC 6.0, which is running on Oracle, Oracle database. Then we have SAP BW 7.5 is running on, say, SQL database. SQL database. Now, um, now let's say these two are already there. Now BW is a different technology, guys. Okay, basically this was made as a OLTP software. What is OLTP software? What is OLAP software? I'll explain you. Okay, so OLTP and OLAP. This is a OLAP, guys. This is OLAP. Online transactional processing, online analytical processing. In general, what is T stands for is transactions. So what this software does is, the software helps us to do the business on a day-to-day activities. Say for example, a customer comes in and he purchases something, you make a record of it in the ECC 6.0 software. Okay, but BW 7.5 is something for used for analysis part. Analysis means you want to decide, you are a supermarket manager and you want to decide how many tomatoes you have to order for this next 1 week. You will see the past data, and decide. Okay, if you are Rolls Royce, Rolls Royce architect, and you will decide how many Rolls Royce have to be manufactured this year. Okay, anyways, like they do it only on the orders, only after getting the order. But if you have that kind of thing, you will see the forecast. If you'll see the forecast, how many might be sold this year. So based on that, we'll see the statistics and then decide. So that analysis part is all done in a OLAP software. In our SAP, we have a OLAP software called BW 7.5. Let's say the BW 7.5 have to work in HANA database, guys. Let me put this as 7.3 because now I'll tell you about that history. Okay, so now SAP introduced something called HANA Studio. Okay, they introduced what? HANA Studio. They introduced HANA Studio, and the HANA Studio was, okay, I'll tell you about it. Now this HANA Studio they introduced on HANA database, guys, and this is equivalent to, this does similar operations as BW. At that time, when they introduced HANA database in 2012, and after 2013 or something like that, everybody thought SAP will scrap this BW concept. SAP will scrap the BW concept. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Now, even this year also, they are releasing new version of SAP BW. We have very latest versions of SAP BW, so they still continued it. So this was assumed, or this was almost doing the same operations like OLTP software only. That's the reason everybody thought but they wanted to, their vision was not to keep this HANA Studio as an alternative for BW. HANA Studio was brought in to make it, facilitate it to the all the platforms. I will explain you about that slowly. After that, after introducing these guys, like what they did is, they introduced HANA SAP BW 7.5. They slowly moved on everything into HANA database. It is mandatory for us to work on HANA database. There's no other way. So latest release of BW was made to be mandatory working on HANA database. And then they introduced SAP S4 HANA, guys. S4 HANA. Okay. This SAP S4 HANA is the next version of ECC 6.0. Okay. So this is a suite. Suite means what? What is a suite in SAP? Not just here. This European guys call it a suite. Suite. Okay. You eat sweet, right? They call it a suite. Okay. And, actually, it is written like this. Okay. Suite. SUIT. Okay. So when I was working the project, like they didn't leave me until I call it as sweet. Okay. Somehow I had to call this suit as sweet. Anyways, like now here we have SAP S4 HANA. This SAP S4 HANA is what? It's a next version of this ECC 6.0. What do we mean by suite, guys? Like this actually manages all the departments of a company. The finance department, the sales department, the material department, the warehouse department, and the HR department, etc., etc., etc. We'll have 40 plus departments, guys. These are the very prominent and popular. That's the reason I'm using them. Okay. So all these things will be there in the S4 HANA. Means ECC 6.0. Let's say these are all versions which we are coming back, right? This R2, R3, ECC, all these are the suits. Okay. But BW is not a suit. It's a tool to analyze the data. It is a tool to analyze the data. Okay. First, that they made that to be mandatorily be on the HANA database. Slowly they have also done S4 HANA. They made it into HANA database, guys. Now it is HANA database is a platform. It's not just a database. It's a platform, complete platform on which all these things will be coming and joining. I'll explain you about that. Now we need to understand all this story, and then we need to get into the HANA ABAP so that we can understand, we can relate them to it. But here, see, if you say, if they go back to the all the clients and say that, we have introduced a new HANA database, and you all purchase that and you place it, replace that with your existing database, means nobody will do it. No person will do it. Okay, why the client will do it? No organization will do it. You understand my point? See, why will they change? Why will they see? If I tell you all that, iPhone has introduced one new phone which is about 1.5 lakhs. Okay, and I'll tell you the first point is it is 1.5 lakhs. Okay, then I tell you the next thing is you have to throw all your phones and then purchase that. The first question is you don't want to throw your phone. Second question is you don't want to purchase it for that cost. So there should be something extra, something additional. Why you have to go for it? You have to have a clarity, right? So they built the HANA database in such a way that it is the fastest database in the world. And how fast? In 2012 this was 3600 times faster than the fastest system at that time. Faster than the fastest system at the time in the world. Okay, now a lot of technologies have come and they have improved their speed and all. That's a different story, but this is the main thing, guys. Like, it was very fast. And how it became fast is what I'll explain you about that. Technically we have to understand why it's so fast, and they made it real. Okay, everybody thought that this would be a hypothetical theory, but they made it real in the HANA. So they proved it. See, they didn't come back and say that they didn't introduce HANA database and they suddenly didn't push it to the BW and ECC suite. Okay, they didn't push like that. What they did is they parallelly gave that to HANA Studio. Okay, see, and they proved that this is working very well. The third one, it's working very well. They proved it. Okay, for a couple of deployments they proved it. And the clients were also aware of the thing that HANA database is the fastest one. Okay, once they became aware of this database, then they slowly deployed that to BW and S4 HANA platforms as well. Okay, so HANA database is the was the fastest system, and even now it's a fastest system, guys, in fastest database. Now how did they make it so fast is what we need to understand. So for that we need to understand in memory database. There are too many features that we need to discuss about, guys. Okay, see, if let's say, can anyone tell your name quickly?
Prajwal.
Prajwal. Okay. See, Prajwal goes to his grandma's village. I mean, like let's assume that it's a very remote village, and his grandma in the sense like his mom's mom. Okay. So grandma's house, and here his grandma asks Prajwal, "What is the difference between your smartphone and my Nokia phone, which she uses only for incoming and outgoing calls, and she also gets a message." So if she asks Prajwal, why do we go for smartphone and why not the normal phone that we have? You cannot explain it in one go because there are too many features that we have to discuss. You have to explain about the camera, you have to explain about the internet, and you have to explain about the ABAP classes, and you have to explain about the hell lot of other things. Okay, so these all things together make your smartphone. Similarly, HANA, you cannot say just because it's in memory it's HANA. No, HANA database or HANA platform has too many features that we have to learn. Okay, till now it was all like open database policy. SAP always followed till 2012. They followed open database policy, means you purchase any database you want, you purchase any hardware you want. But after introduction of HANA, it's not like that. Even the hardware, guys, okay, I repeat, even the hardware, not just the database, even the hardware is supposed to be purchased by SAP, from SAP only. Now the client cannot go and purchase hardware from some SanDisk. Okay, I'll purchase the hard disk from SanDisk. I'll purchase the the CPU, I mean like the um, motherboard from Intel. No, nothing. So processor will be Intel. No, what SAP prescribes, what SAP gives, that only they have to buy. So because they say, SAP simply says, only if you buy my hardware, only if you buy the entire package, you can feel the system speed. That's what SAP will say. Okay, so in memory database, guys, in memory database means, see, let's say, can any two of you quickly give your names, please? Fast, guys.
Omkar.
Omkar and one more,
Pawan.
Pawan. Okay, Omkar is having a system of 10 terabytes hard disk and 1 GB RAM. Okay, and Pawan has a system of 1 terabyte hard disk and 16 GB RAM. Okay, now which one will be faster, guys? Omkar system or Pawan system? Guys, am I asking you rocket science question?
Pawan sir. Pawan system.
Pawan system, right? So why do you say Pawan system? See here, nobody observed that this is 10 terabyte hard disk is there for Omkar system, but still you are saying Pawan will have the fastest system. Why?
He has a higher RAM.
RAM. So you all are saying, you all are saying in your mind, you are thinking, you are not even looking at the hard disk. Okay, okay, okay. So go to hell about the hard disk. You are only seeing at the RAM. You're not worrying about the hard disk. You didn't even bother about the hard disk. Why is it so? Why is it so? It's because the speed of a system is decided by the RAM, guys, not by the ROM. This is ROM. Okay, this is ROM. This is the speed of the system is not decided by the ROM. The speed of the system is decided by the RAM. Okay, why is it so? Because see what exactly happens technically backend. I'll explain you this. Okay, see, you have a data in the database, guys. Okay, database, you have some table. Okay, let's take any table, Mara table. Okay, this Mara table you want to extract it from the front end. So this is, where is this stored? In the ROM. Okay, the hard disk. Now if you try to access it from the front end, that screen, it first has to, when you give a command that I need to access this, first it needs to be copied into the RAM, guys. It need to be copied. This is a temporary copy. Okay, RAM is always storing the data temporarily. Okay, and only for accessing that. Later it can be on its own, it can be deleting the data, or when you refresh the data it will be deleted. Okay, okay. So now what are we discussing, guys? That RAM is something which we have. RAM is something which defines the speed. Now what? Yeah, we were discussing this, right? So this Mara table has to first come into RAM. It has to sit in the RAM. Only then we can access it from the front end. And RAM can be refreshed on based on a time, or okay. So whatever data is there in the RAM, it will be all gone after 1 hour. So more than 1 hour, automatically it will be refreshed, or something like we can have whenever we shut down your system and switch on, the RAM will be refreshed. So there are many ways in which we can refresh the RAM, guys. Okay, so this we are done. But the buffer data also is stored in RAM. Now if the RAM is slow, what will happen if too many commands are coming from the front end? Then this will be actually, it has to process this, and it has to refresh the data. It has to delete the old data and accommodate the new data if it is full, RAM is full and all. So because of all these things, RAM will always be struggling. Okay, ROM will not be struggling at all. ROM is always relaxed. Okay, rom is like it will be relaxed and cool because it's a database. Okay, now here what will happen, um, okay, what I want to tell you is RAM and ROM, right? Okay, now HANA system, what they did, they made ROM equal to RAM. Means what happens, guys, whether you ask it, whether you don't ask it, everything is there in the RAM. Whatever is there in the ROM is there in the RAM. So you don't have to, the system need not run to the ROM. Whenever you are giving some command to access, it need not run to the ROM. It will get it immediately from the RAM. So it can bring more than 4 billion records, more than 4 billion records in less than a second, guys. So normally in general, in those days, I mean, like even now, it will take around some couple of hours, and the fastest system used to take 1 hour. It will take less than a second. Why? Because it doesn't have to go to RAM and collect all the data. It doesn't have to collect it. It is already collected and kept it ready in the RAM. You understand this? So it is already ready in the RAM. You don't have to go back. So everything that is in the RAM, system will automatically make a copy in the RAM. Okay, this is the first. So again, they also thought RAM is extremely costly, guys. You might be all well aware, like when you're purchasing the laptops or something like that, the bigger the RAM, the more it will be, the more costly it becomes. Okay, so here we have uh, that's the speed of the hard disk which was prepared. And then RAM, what they did is, in RAM is, RAM was made it in such a way that they have the compression techniques. There are a lot of compression techniques. I'll explain you about the compression techniques which we use in our LAP. And using that, and the big data concept, and using this all different technologies, latest technologies, they have made it in such a way that the RAM is capable of storing in all the ROM all the ROM data. It will be able to save it in 1/5 or 1/6 space of RAM. So if let's say 1 terabyte of ROM is there, it can store it in 200 or 250 GB RAM. Okay, 1 TB ROM can be saved in 200 GB RAM. That is how it is designed from the beginning. Okay, the architecture is like that. So how it exactly happens, we'll see about that later. Okay, this is what we have. Okay, till here clear, guys? Any doubts? Any questions? Fine, great. Okay, anything, you just ping me in the message. Okay, now, so with this clarity, we need to go ahead and understand the technicalities of HANA and HANA ABAP, guys. So this is a very general discussion that we have had till now, and with this, we'll go ahead and understand the intricacies of the entire process. So we have this HANA 2.0, and first we'll be understanding the need for a modern digital platform. So as we already discussed earlier, HANA is a platform with a lot of features that we have. So the reason for the digital platform is the world is increasingly digital and networked. So last 2 years, we have 90% of the world's data has been generated, and expectations for next 5 years is 85% of the CFOs believe success will depend on the adoption of complexity and innovation speed. So the faster you analyze the data, the easier that you can take the decision for the future. Okay, I repeat, the faster you take the faster you analyze the past data, the faster you can take the decision for the future. So it has to be made simple. The process have to be made simple. So we have 40% growth in adoption of business networks, 9 billion mobile users in the world throughout by 2013. Now it has almost doubled, guys, and 212 billion things will be connected. See, what is Internet of Things? Internet of Things is something like, you get connected to various systems. For example, you can control your AC from your application in your phone. So an application in your phone, an app, Google app, is enabling you to switch on and switch off the AC, air conditions. That is Internet of Things. Okay, so Internet of Things is going to be the very big way it's going to explore in the world. It's a next big revolution, guys. Like the artificial intelligence and Internet of Things will be the next big revolution. And in this revolution, the thing is, it's not the Internet of Things which we are seeing in our day-to-day life is like, switching on the AC or switching down the, a refrigerator. These are simple things. Okay, even if you don't have that Internet of Things, that doesn't make much change. But here, SAP is focusing on enterprise Internet of Things, guys. Enterprise level Internet of Things is, for example, let's say there is an organization, manufacturing organization, in which 1,000 people are working in the industry. Now, this 1,000 people work can be done by a single CEO with his laptop. Okay, so that is the kind of Internet of Things, Internet of Things merging in the industry will happen. Okay, so they want to integrate everything in the industry starting from switching on the lights, opening the gates to manufacture everything. Everything will be done by the robots or Internet of Things be connected, so you can start the machine. So a car, if a car manufacturing company is there, from the start to end, everything can be automated. Now when we say this, uh, what people first think is like, they are going to, most of the people are going to lose the jobs. Yes, people are going to lose the jobs, but there will be immediately new opportunities get raised. Okay, so let me tell you one simple example which happened in late 1800s and early 1900s. So at the time, there were huge number of people who were riding the carts, horse cart will be there. They used to ride the horses, they used to ride the carts. Now here, then later suddenly what happened is, they lost the job because of the manufacturing of the cars. But after that, suddenly there was a huge rise of demand for people who can drive cars. Okay, so when remember always, like if some jobs are going off, there'll be new jobs getting created very fast. So we need to always make sure we get into the new technology so that we'll be on the top of it. Okay, okay, fine. 38% of the workloads are processed in the cloud. So everything is cloud based, guys, like right now. So most of the things are being cloud based. So you keep all your documents in Google Drive, which is a cloud. So when we keep servers in the cloud, so a lot of things will happen in the cloud. So we used to have the manufacturing application, for manufacturing application, finance application, sales application, analytics, service, spatial, steaming, predictive analytics, predictive analysis for the future. So what used to happen is all this data used to be saved in the ETL staging. Uh, the data used to be loaded from here to the ETL. It is something which is for business analysis data. So now what happens is each one of them has a different database, and then again the OLTP OLAP software, the software which is used for analysis of data also has a different database. The processing systems also we have a different database. So half of our life will be gone in sharing this data to that data to this and all these things. Okay, but now the introduction of HANA, everything is on a single platform, single database, guys. All these applications are there on the single database. All the analytics also will be there on the single database. So we'll have real-time data for analysis. So once upon a time, we used to wait for a couple of hours, couple of days, couple of months to analyze the data, because all the data which is there for business data is there on the top of the top databases. Okay, but for analysis we have to move to the ETL process. So to move to the analysis, to move to the ETL process, we have to make sure we have the data loaded in this. So instead of that, we have a single database on which all the applications have been loaded on a single database. So one platform for all applications. This is the concept of HANA. Okay, once upon a time it was a vision, now it is a reality. This is what is going on in the projects now. So once upon a time, we used to have OLTP software separately and OLAP software separately. OLTP software is for business transactions, like day-to-day activities, selling, purchasing, financial transactions and all this. But OLAP software is used only for analysis of data. So what has to be purchased, what has to be manufactured, what should be done, what should not be done. For all this analysis, we'll have OLAP data. So all this data right now we'll have it in HANA. HANA is a combination of both, guys. So what we can do is combine transactions and analysis all together in a single database. So we can transact and we can also analyze on the same data. Previously, we always we have to move the data from OLTP to OLAP. We need to check what data is there in the OLTP, what data is not there in OLAP. Again, we have to move it and we have to check the jobs. There was a big process, guys. So in maintenance cost also was very high. But when it comes to HANA database, you don't have to worry about the access of data. We can get it in one single system. Okay, so in the past we had the CPU, and then we have the limited memory and the hard disk. But now we have a huge RAM. This is RAM, guys. So we have a huge RAM. The processing is multi-core. We'll have multi-cores and multi-slits. There's a huge mechanism here where there is no way it can be slowed down. So it will be very fast. So previously, we always had a constant swapping of data. So database on disk. So we get the data, receive the data. So it's like moving database complexity to memory. So now what happens is, like, swapping of data is what from the RAM to the database and database to the RAM. So now entire database is in memory now. That's the reason it's called in-memory database. Entire database, because as we know, it's equivalent, the RAM is equivalent to the ROM. That's what we mean here. The blue one is the ROM, and the brown one is the RAM. Okay, so those two happen to be equivalent now. Now we have the traditional approach to data model and application code. We have application code here. Traditional model was like, we had core tables. Core tables are like, you already know, VBAK, VBAP, Mara, Marci, Mardi, BKP, BSCG, VBAK, VBAC, something like that. Now here, these data, we used to build the indexes and aggregates on this data before we present that in the reports, so that we can access the data faster. Okay, see, the select statement that you write is one type of aggregation only. You're not accessing the data directly. Full table you are not accessing. You're writing a logic, you're writing select statement and all. We are using select options. All these are for aggregation of data. What do we mean by aggregation? Aggregation means reducing the data, entire data, to for for focusing on faster processing of data. So to process the data faster, we are aggregating the data. This is what we do. So we have eliminate complexity of applications when built on SAP HANA. So we are eliminating all these things now. Okay, and we are eliminating this, and we can get the data directly from the database tables. Okay, so that is how we are doing it. So from core we can get the data, but still not worried about the performance. And all the calculations that we do in the program. So for example, if you have written an ALV program, in which what we are doing, ALV program or a normal classical report program, if you want to modify something, like if you want to decide the country based on the city, those kind of small things, if you want to do, you would write the logic in the ABAP code, and that ABAP code actually processes entire thing in the application layer. So the entire ABAP code is processing the application layer. But whereas in the HANA platform, the application will be run on the database. I mean, like, the code will run on the database layer. So we are putting the load on database instead of application layer. So we are shifting that load from application layer to the database layer. That's called, like, the calculations are all done in the database layer, and we'll just present that data in the screen. So we're reducing the size, reducing the load on the application, and we're increasing the load on the database layer. Because our SAP HANA database is extremely powerful and fast. Access any type of data. So structured, text, spatial, graph, from any kind of data we have SAP HANA platform. So we have data sources, we have enterprise systems, we have data warehouses, archives, big data, file stores, databases, social networks, sensors. These are all the different data sources from which we can get the data into the SAP HANA platform. Okay, and we can have structured data, we can have text data, we can have spatial data, we can have even graphical data also can be stored in HANA platform. So access data anywhere. Now you can get this, access the data from the HANA database to any applications, any database, and then you can have the internet of things, we can interact with the internet of things and you can control different systems from this, and continuous streaming can be done, occasional sync can be done. Databases, you can go for MS SQL database or Teradata database and you can access it. Files, you can get the data from the files, you can load the data from the .csv file, you can load the data from any other ERPs also. So with this, access data anywhere, so we can get the data from anywhere, we can get the data from anywhere and we can access it from anywhere. This is the HANA database platform. So as we discussed, HANA is not just a database now. Database is just a part of the HANA platform. So there is a HANA big concept called HANA platform. Introducing SAP HANA platform, we have application services, processing services, integration services, database services. So in the database services, what are the advantages that we have is columnar, OLTP and OLAP process, multi-core parallelization. What is multi-core? What is parallelization? We'll discuss, guys. What is multi-core parallelization? What is OLTP and what is OLAP also we will discuss. Advanced compression, multi-tenancy and multi-tier storage, data modeling, open standards, high availability of discovery of data. Okay, so maybe you might realize that this is not clear, the wordings are not clear. Even for me it's not clear, I'm not able to read it, just I'm just seeing the symbols and reading it. Okay, so now here, web services, application services, we have web services, we have JavaScript, we can write the JavaScript, we can write some logic in the web services. We can use the Fiori application. With using Fiori application, you can build Google apps, Google Android applications. We can also place them in the Play Store, and then from there you can access it and you can download. So Fiori, some of the Fiori applications are available already on your Play Store. You can just type FIORI, then you'll get some Fiori applications. But again, you have to log in into some server and log into it. So that's a different thing. So graphic modeler and application lifecycle management. We have processing services like spatial, graph, predictive search, text analysis, planning, data encryption, series of data, function libraries, all these are part of it. Integration services like data visualization, virtualization, ELT, replication, and streaming, Hadoop. Hadoop is that big data concept and remote data sync. All these things are introduced in the HANA platform. So these all are made a part of a HANA platform, guys. And you can access this data which we have in HANA into SQL, JSON, ADO.NET, and ODBC, OData, HTML, and all these things. OData is a gateway to access this data, guys. So if you want to access this data which is there in the HANA to some other technologies, you have to have a gateway, OData gateway. Using OData gateway only, we can access this data into UI5 Fiori. What is UI5 Fiori platform also? I'll explain. So we have appliances, tailored data center integration. So we have these appliances. We have now it's as I told you, we have parallel processing, right? So in parallel processing, what will happen is we'll have multiple nodes, guys, and each node will have its own. Again, we have a server, we have a network, and if let's say one and each node again has server, network, and storage. These all things will be separate. Okay, so again we'll have multiple CPUs, multiple nodes, so there are too many things that we have. So all in one box by certified partners. So since we have too much complicated system, we actually SAP recommends to purchase everything from their own process. So these are the channel partners for SAP, from where they actually partnered with these companies to build the hardware and then provide the client the final thing, the final appliance. So SAP first prescribes a standard ones, and if the client does not want it and they want something else, then they can go for the customized one. But even if it's a tailor made, you still have to buy it from this authorized vendors only, and that too through SAP only, not directly through SAP. So now in SAP HANA platform, we have three deployments, guys. So there'll be three deployment options. One is the cloud based, another is on premise, and another is hybrid. Now what do we mean by on premises? Wherein the server will be installed in your organization only. Server will be there and you can connect it through LAN or through the World Wide Web. So through LAN or line. So now here this is on premise, but what is cloud is you keep the server somewhere in Amazon or somewhere, and then you install everything there and you use it for regular operations. And the hybrid is a certain part of the system is in HANA, is on premise, and certain part is on cloud. So if you want to keep it, then it is hybrid. See, some confidential data you want to keep it, you keep it on premise, and there's a generic data which you want to access across all the customers, then it will be on the cloud. So this is also possible. So these are the three things. Now even in cloud also we'll have two options, guys, like the public cloud and private cloud. Public cloud in the sense Amazon is a public cloud, Google is also offering public clouds. But if your organization decides that you need to have it in your own cloud platform also, you can create, that's called private cloud. So that, like, it's more confidential, more security, some kind of thing. But it will be a costly affair if you want to maintain a private cloud. It will be a costly affair. The scenarios of SAP HANA: we have enterprise suites, we have database, we have data warehouse, we have OEM, we have disk database applications, we have packaged applications. All those are there in the SAP HANA scenarios. So in 2011, in-memory platform was introduced, SAP HANA was introduced. Then they slowly introduced this SAP Business Warehouse powered by SAP HANA. This all actually came into the market in 2012. So Business Suite powered by SAP HANA. This was in 2014, guys. So this happened in 2014, and this happened in 2013 or something like that. So this numbers have not changed. It remained as 2011. Anyways, now here the SAP Business Suite powered by SAP HANA was launched in 2014, and then 2015 SAP launched S4 HANA as a complete platform. So we have the simplified data model, new user experience, advanced processing, choice of deployment, and multi-tenancy. So these all are possible there in the S4HANA. So S4HANA is a suite. So anything is a suite, it's an ERP software. So if we see the powering new applications with SAP HANA, so we have the NBA statistics was completely managed and run by SAP, and they all had the real-time analysis of data. So in the NBA games, they have actively, focused on the HANA 2.0 platform, and they gave all the results on a real-time analysis of data. So they've done it in the Cricket World Cup as well, guys. Even in the Cricket World Cup, SAP partnered with them, and they have gave them the real-time analysis of data from all angles. So we have stability and we have innovation. So the HANA Service Pack 12, we have digital cloud to run applications without maintenance upgrade disruption. No new support packages stacks. Maintenance revisions for SAP HANA Service Pack 12 is provided until May 2019. And HANA 2.0, digital foundation to build next generation applications using the latest technologies and innovations. Maintenance for Service Pack provided until next two Service Packs are released. So Service Pack 0002, 03, 04, 05 are also released now, guys. Maintenance schedules for HANA 1.0 and HANA 2.0. So there are two databases, guys. So when we talk about the entire, so we can say the platform. There are two platforms here. One is the HANA 1.0 platform, and another is the HANA 2.0 platform. So in HANA 1.0 platform, we have no disruption path for missions of applications. Here we can have this release continuous innovation. So now we need to understand what is the HANA 2.0 and HANA 1.0 differences also we'll be understanding. So HANA 2 for continuous innovations for the core of our business for an agile digital transformation. Long-term maintenance release, HANA 2, 2.0 with twice a year release of new enhancements. So in HANA 2.0 again we'll have latest innovations which can be installed in the next version. Flexibility to deploy either or both versions of SAP HANA. And HANA 1.0 Service Pack 12 while keeping an eye on the future of the compelling innovations. So leverage HANA 1.0 Service Pack 12 for no disruption path for mission critical applications. Upgrade to HANA 2.0 at any time to take advantage of new compelling innovations of new business opportunities. So ultimately, simply in simple words, there are a lot of advantages because of which we are going from Service Pack 11 12 of HANA 1.0 to HANA 2.0. So in this we have Service Pack 1011 can upgrade directly to HANA 2.0. Service Pack 1011 recommended SAP HANA 1.0 capture and repay options. So with all these things we have the HANA 2.0 application. So in the architecture of SAP HANA is what we are going to discuss in the unit 2 of HANA basics. So this is a HANA core component. Basically, we'll have the database and we'll have data processing engines. The data processing engines happen to be the SQL, MDX, and calculation engines. These are the various data processing engines. We have the database. We have internal application server. We'll have SAP HANA client and SAP HANA studio. So these are the SAP HANA core components. Now we have additional components here like data services, SAP SLT, landscape transformation, and smart data streaming, and the referential data syncing. So here. These all concepts are basically to extract the data or to replicate the data in the SAP to replicate the data in the SAP system. So for that we have this various techniques, and we are getting the data into the HANA. And we have this EIM. So we have data processing engines. So this is what we have discussed now, and these are the various tools to get the data, and these are the various tools to view the data and process the data. Those are HANA Studio and Web IDE. Additionally, we have application function library. We have built-in application server, which we already discussed. We have HANA cockpit from where we can enter the data or access the data. We have HANA client as well, from which we can access the data. So where are these are the places from where we can access the data. These are the tools which we have on the left side from where we can get the data using these tools. So we have typically three tier landscape. So since just like we have the three tier architecture in SAP normal program, here normal server. So here also we'll have the three tier architecture. We'll have the HANA database, we'll have the application layer, and we have the user interface, the clients, the UI user interface. This is exactly the same as the three tier architecture we have discussed in the normal SAP. So we have SAP Studio and SAP ID. This is a two tier one. So in this we have SAP HANA. We have data processing engine. We have the client BI client. This is a two-tier architecture. So two-tier architecture is something which will not be that you know it's not that frequent. Three-tier architecture is what we will be frequently using. So we have application services with the SAP HANA Access. This is Access engine. So when we have the access engine, we can directly access the data from the database. So we will access the data directly from the database instead of the application server, because we already have an internal application server here. Internally application server has been built in this two-tier architecture. When this access engine has been built, the access engine acts like a built-in application server. So this when this built-in application server is been done, then it will be possible to access the data in the form of two-tier architecture, because this application access engine is acting like a application server. Now we have Access Engine, Access Classic, and Access Advanced Engine. So Access Classic and Access Advanced Engine, this Access Engine, when we say Access Engine, it means that it's a built-in application server. Access Engine is a built-in application server. Now here we have the Access Classic, we have application UI, and for Access Advanced also we have application UI. We have built-in application server from which we access the data into the UI. Now here we have data processing and data processing engine. We have the HANA Studio, we have connection systems, we have H1, H2 connection. This is a HANA Studio. So I'll be explaining you the HANA Studio. So every username and password, with the username and password. See, from HANA Studio, what we need to understand from this is, into the HANA Studio, we can configure the HANA 1 system, HANA 2 system. There can be multiple servers, and we can log in into the servers from a single HANA Studio. We can log in into multiple HANA servers from a single HANA Studio. Just like we have the SAP GUI logon pad. So from the SAP GUI logon pad, we are able to log into multiple systems, right? So same thing. So we can log in into multiple servers from the HANA Studio. So here, this is how the HANA Studio looks like. HANA Studio looks like this, and in this, we will be logging into the system, and each system can have a different project here. And once we log in, we can have this resource. So we can go for the a resource, so we can have the fast perspective. So I'll be explaining about the perspectives. So we'll be working mostly on the ABAP perspective. The ABAP perspective is not visible on the screen because Eclipse might have not been installed. If Eclipse is installed, the ABAP login also will be there. So I will be explaining about that one as well, how it will work. So here we have the project explorer. We have different views in which we have the project explorer, where we can view the projects. Okay, and then we have the customized view, so we can add some views here. I'll be showing you this because this is something which we are working on the HANA Studio. So HANA Studio, we have all these options, reset perspectives. So we have all these functions here, which I'm going to show you now. So this is a Java perspective. We'll be working mostly on the ABAP perspective. So this is the Access Engine, Access Advanced Engine. We can log in into the web IDE. This is a web IDE from which we can log in and we can work. Either we can access through the HANA Studio, or we can access through the web IDE. This is web IDE. This is the web IDE. It looks like this. This is all the web IDE. Okay. So let's look at the based on this HANA the second chapter. We'll just look at the outlook of the HANA Studio. Let me log in into the HANA Studio. In this we have the HANA Studio. So we will log in into the HANA Studio. As of now, you can just understand the HANA Studio as a complex level of SAP logon. So now we already have a server here. So some error is there. So okay, so we'll configure this and see. Basically, once we log in, we'll be able to see this servers here. And when we go to the Windows perspective, open perspectives, others, here we'll have this ABAP. I repeat. So we are in the basic HANA Studio perspective. We'll go to the perspectives, open perspectives, and others, and we'll go for the ABAP perspective and open. We'll have the ABAP perspective. In the ABAP perspective, we actually have logged into a particular server. So this is similar to whatever we do here will be similar to what we do in the normal ABAP logon. So here we can open the package, we can create a program, and whatever package that we create here, whatever program that we create here can be visible from the normal logon, SAP logon. Can be visible from the normal logon. We can create a package here. So here we have HANA ABAP package, HANA ABAP package. Next, this is a home application. Normally it will be home application only. So we can create a request or select the request which you already have. So we have new request for DXC HANA ABAP. Then click on finish. So the HANA Tech HANA ABAP package will be created here. So HANA Tech V1 is already there. Now we created HANA DXC package is internal to this actually. Okay, so I just made it as an individual package now. Okay, so now here we will right click on this new program. So Z DXC underscore HANA 1 HANA package. So we already have a request number here. We created the request, right? HANA new request for HANA. So here I'll just say write sample program. Now here we can just say write WRIT, right? So activate. Okay, see, I have done something here. Okay, I have done something here. What I have done here in the HANA, I will repeat. Okay, that's not an issue. But what I wanted to primarily show is the package and the program that I created in the HANA ABAP perspective can be seen in our server here. That's what I wanted to show. So normally I'll log in into the system now. I think it is what I connected there is 180, and I'm not sure. I'll just check. If it is not there in this, then we'll have to go for the another. Okay, I think this is not the one. I'll just minimize it. What's the name of the program? ZDXC for HANA 1. Okay, I can check the server configuration details, but let me see. Okay, this is visible in this. So whatever we wrote here, we wrote there is visible here. See sample program and all. So what I'm trying to help explain you is that whatever we do on the HANA perspective, HANA Studio perspective, the same thing we are able to see here. There are certain things which we can do only in the HANA perspective. There are certain things which we can do only in the normal login. So we will see what are the things that are possible in the HANA perspective and the normal login, and then we'll discuss about that. Okay. So these are the things that we have. And going forward, we'll be discussing more about the HANA ABAP on HANA. And we'll be discussing the theoretical concepts, and then we'll be doing the projects as well on that. Okay, so we'll catch up and we'll continue after the lunch.